If social media is a struggle point for you, this week's guest is going to give you so many amazing tips. Even if you're an introvert, even if you tell yourself it's taking up too much time, on how to build your business using social media in a way that feels easy and effortless. Hey, I'm Amanda, and welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast, where I will teach you how to coach yourself, how to coach your clients, and how to run your coaching business. The number one goal of this show, though, is to help you be the best damn coach you can be so your clients go out and tell the world about you. So let's do the damn thing. If you are coaching, you are also in the business of selling. No matter which way you slice it, when you are offering your services to the world, you are also selling your services. And I know this is an area that many of my clients and people I've talked to over the years struggle with. So that's why I've created a free download, a free sales script that I've used to close millions of dollars in clients over the years. So if you struggle with not wanting to feel salesy, it just kind of feels icky. When you get to the place in the call where you're going to share your pricing, you kind of freeze up, or maybe you just like overtalk and you ramble and say all these things because you're just feeling all of this nervous energy, then head on over to amanda-walker.com/sales script. And I will walk you through the exact step-by-step formula that helps me land my dream clients and feel really amazing about selling. Because my belief is that coaching is selling and selling is coaching, actually. And I'm going to teach you how to do this in a way that feels very connected for you, that feels like you're serving your clients and feels in integrity for the both of you. So when you grab that free download, again, at amanda-walker.com/sales script, I'm going to give you a step-by-step script to have one successful sales call after another. Simple tips to make your sales calls less about sales and more about serving your people. And lastly, how to prepare for a sales call so you feel very uber confident going into it. And do me a favor, once you use this script and feel really good and you close that client, will you just send me an email and tell me how awesome it was for you? Again, you can download it for free now at amanda-walker.com/sales script. All right. Welcome, ladies, to the show. I'm so excited for today's guest. I've actually been following her work. She's inspired me. She doesn't even know that yet. I didn't tell her that part as I was growing my business, and we had the chance to meet at a mutual friends event. I was so excited to be able to connect with her and have her on the show because I think she's going to add tons of value. So please welcome Elise Darma to the show. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So we attended, I don't even remember when it was, months ago, I think. We attended a mutual colleague's event. She brought together this just amazing, I don't know how you felt, but when I logged in, I was like, oh, that's such a cool group of people, very diverse. And so I had the opportunity since then to connect with so many cool people, to have them on the show, and you were one of them. So do you want to speak a little bit to what you do and kind of how you landed here doing the work you do now?
Sure. Yeah. I just actually had a week of reflection recently about having been an entrepreneur for 9 years now, which seems amazing. I just turned 35 last week, and my fiance and I decided to spend the week in Lisbon. We currently live in Barcelona. I want to move to Portugal. We decided to check out Lisbon to see if it could be a good next base for us. I went fully offline for 4 days, like no social media, no posting to stories, which as an Instagram marketer, it's so second nature. But I turned 35 and I just thought I really want to, thank you. I really want to take this in, and my mindset has shifted around business, maybe because I'm getting older and maybe a little more tired, but I'm less inclined to just be focused on growth at any cost. And I'm really more interested in feeling at peace and contentment. And that's my mode right now that I'm in. So this trip last week was a really good experience to take that in. In that week of reflection, I thought back to how I got started. And when I got started, I was 26 years old. I had read The 4 Hour Work Week. I knew I wanted an online business because I wanted to be working from Bali. Literally, this treetop co-working space in Bali in Ubud was my goal. It was my desktop screensaver. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. In the 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss was selling protein powders and supplements online. And that didn't really click for me because, dealing with physical products, I was studying media and video creation, and I thought maybe I could do a video marketing services company, but that didn't really click because, again, you need equipment. And what happened was I was working as a social media marketer starting in 2010. And at that time, I was in an incubator space for tech startups. So I was already in a really good place looking back. And one of the entrepreneurs in the space asked me one day, he said, Elise, I have my e-commerce brand. I'm looking for a rock star marketer. Do you know anyone you could refer me to? And it clicked in that moment. I was like, oh, wait, I wouldn't call myself a rock marketer, but I should put my name forward. I, at that time, was managing, a Facebook account, a Twitter account. I thought I can figure out Instagram for an e-commerce brand. And so I said yes to myself. And a week later, we had a contract, and I was doing marketing services for this client and bringing in an extra $1,000 a month, which at the time was amazing because I had my employee job. So I had my salary, and then bringing in another $1,000 a month allowed me to actually pay down my credit card debt and my student debt and all that lovely stuff. So as I had that first client experience, and this was back in 2013, through my network, the word spread that I was offering social media marketing services, and one referral here, another referral here. After 9 months, I had 4 clients, and I was pretty maxed out between my day job and doing client work on the side. So one client wanted to hire me for 2 days a week. And that was really my fork in the road decision of what I was going to do. And I thought it would be easier to quit than it actually was because I got real used to having 2 incomes coming in at that time, plus the benefits of being an employee. But after a long weekend of thinking it over, I quit in the fall of 2014. And I basically started a full-time agency at that point. And of course, I went to Bali right away. I had a little bit of an eat, pray, love experience for 3 months, going to Australia, Bali, and Hawaii. But that was perfect timing with my new online business. So I did that for a couple of years. I did services for my e-commerce clients, mostly in the marketing realm. And then I decided that I wanted to make more money. I had a good system going on, but I was generally just making like 70,000 a year, and I wasn't really getting more clients. I didn't know how to grow other than getting more clients. So I decided to create the Elise Darma Instagram account because I wasn't operating it. I wasn't even promoting that I was doing these services. I don't know what was going on in my mindset then, but I thought because I was the marketer behind my clients' companies that I had to be stealth on Instagram. And so I wasn't even promoting myself as a personal brand. I was using my account to spy on my clients' competitors. I don't know what was going on. So in 2016, I finally thought, no, I'll promote myself and talk about what I'm doing. And I used all my travel images and stories to start building a travel-based profile, the Elise Darma profile. And after a summer, I was able to grow that to 30,000 followers, which was wild. And then I realized they did not want my agency's services. They wanted to know how I was traveling and how I was growing on Instagram. And that's when another light bulb went off. And I thought, there's something else here. And there's probably someone who's been in this position already. Oh, I could hire a coach. It literally did not even cross my mind. I was just so used to doing my services business and figuring it out on my own. It wasn't until I had this Instagram personal brand that I thought a coach can probably help me get there faster. And I knew I wanted to create a coaching business and or a digital product-based business. So I did hire my very first coach in the fall of 2016, and she helped me do just that. She taught me how to create a website for myself, how to start doing webinars and start figuring out like, what does this new audience want? And it was very clear they wanted Instagram growth. So by the spring of 2017, I had created my first online course. Working with a coach, I figured out and learned how to launch the course. And so before the course was even built, 50 people had signed up, which was mind blowing to me because I pre-sold the course. And it was like I was paid $10,000 in advance to make this course.
Which is a strategy I love, by the way. I'm such a proponent of that for people. It's like, build the ship as you're sailing, like be intentional, be paid to build the product of their dreams.
Absolutely. Validate it. Have people put money down. At that time, though, I was so green in the online industry, in the online business space, that when I saw those sales coming in, I felt physically ill. I was like, oh my goodness, now I have to deliver on what I've put out there. And not that I was not capable, but all my anxieties and perfectionisms and all that pressure we put on ourselves, that's what came to the surface when people were paying me in advance for this course. And it was an extremely busy month to make the course one module at a time in advance of teaching it live. But by the end of that live experience, I had a finished product, a finished course. 50 people had gone through it. We were getting testimonials, and then I had to figure out what to do with it next. And so that put me on this journey that I'm on now of really building that personal brand of my Elise Darma brand, really digging into being an Instagram educator, really becoming a digital product creator. And that's exactly what I do today now. I've actually shut down my agency, and now I just solely focus on helping business owners, whether they're coaches, service providers, or product creators, use Instagram to bring sales to their business.
I love it. And you guys listening, you have to go follow her. For me, when I look at your page, it doesn't matter if you're just starting or you're further along, there is value there to learn and understand growth around Instagram. So Elise Darma is her page. We'll put it in the show notes. Okay, so many juicy things from your story that I just want to pull out for a second. First off, I'm 40. I started business when my children were 4 and 2. While your vision was Bali, my vision was I want to be able to do something where, I don't know why I'm getting emotional about this right now, but it's like, I want to be able to do something where nobody has to tell me no if I want to go volunteer in their class. I don't have to ask for permission, I guess, is where I get to pick them up and take them every day. And where if they're sick, I can like just do whatever I need to take care of them. And so my point saying that is the vision is important. Like know underneath what is really a catalyst for you wanting. And I had no idea I was going to be a business owner, right? I was a teacher for 10 years. I was afraid to post a picture of myself for the first year in business. But I think it's so important to have that why. And how cool is it that you had this vision of Bali on your screen and now like you're continuing to travel to these different visions throughout and you created all of that.
It's wild. And I'm not someone who has really delved deep into the spiritual side outside of like a typical religious organization. I was raised in a structured religion and I'm no longer a part of it. And so I think a part of me has avoided going into just a different spiritual aspect of life. And where I'm going with this is this whole idea of manifestation and being very, very intentional about the life that you want to create. And I think I've fallen into those patterns by accident, very luckily, but there's been moments where I've found notebooks or journals of mine, like in 2019, in the fall of 2019, I wrote down how I envisioned my life like a year from there. And it was an exercise through a business event, actually. And I read it out loud as we were moving to Spain. And I showed it to my fiance. I'm like, this is wild because it literally describes our life right now to a T, AKA living in Spain, how much money my business was bringing in every month, how much was profit, how my team members were, and us being engaged. We weren't engaged at that time. And I wasn't even sure if that was going to happen because we've been together for so long, like it's been 10 years. I'm like, is this really priority? But anyway, I found that book and it was very much a goosebump moment. So there's something to it for sure.
Yeah. Being intentional. Same with our house that we're in. We've been together for 23 years. We've been married for 16 and we had always said we wanted to live on acres, but we're in like middle of the city, Arizona, and our families are here. We don't want to leave. We're very close with our families. Our kids have connections to, and are rooted with their cousin relationships. And in the middle of the city is this little pocket of a few streets that's like county property that's unincorporated, that has acreage. And it was like so crazy of like how this, like down to the fact that we wanted a brick home, right? We knew very clearly we wanted a brick home and an old traditional fireplace. And so just to reiterate, you got two women here talking about just the power of intention and thinking about your vision. So one of the things that I love about you that I very much identify with is you are an introvert. And when I tell people I'm an introvert, they want to like dispute that. But you're showing up on social media and you have an online, personal brand. And yeah, and I'm still an introvert. So can you speak a little bit to that, like how that feels for you, how you define introvert, and how you can still run a successful business online being an introvert?
Absolutely. I've struggled with this label myself, actually, because I thought for so long, maybe I'm both. Maybe I'm an extroverted introvert. I think it's very natural for us to go through waves, right? Where there's a certain social occasion where we can really bring the energy to the surface. But I think what comes down to it for me is the definition of when you are tired or feeling low energy, how do you recharge? Do you go home to be by yourself, to relax? Or are you someone who's like my fiance, when he enters a social situation, he gets energized by that. He's low energy when he's at home with me. And then if we go out, we live in Barcelona right now, and it's very much a patio-based city. So if we go out, we meet some friends on a patio, he's getting more energy. And I'm like going the opposite direction. I very much have a wall after 2-3 hours. Sometimes I can push that. My mind starts thinking about how nice my couch is back home.
Yes,
how I just
get you. Totally
want to do
you.
that. Yeah. So I think that's the definition of an introvert. But like you said, it doesn't mean that we can't bring the energy. It doesn't mean we can't show up in the online space. I have a YouTube channel where, I definitely know how to bring a certain aspect of my personality out for the camera. But that's while I'm filming for 20 minutes. That's not me all day, every day, right? I would get exhausted. So I definitely channel that energy to film. I try to film in 3-4 hour chunks when it comes to YouTube. And then generally for the rest of the day, I am tired. Like I don't want to talk. I'm just burrowing on my couch, basically. But that's also the power of our online business, is that we don't have to be in an office from 9 to 5. We don't have to be around people all the time. I joke that I spend more time talking to devices than humans. I recently flew to San Diego to speak at the Social Media Marketing World event. And I was flipping out for months leading up to this. I was so nervous. I'd be about to fall asleep at night, and then my eyes would shoot open and I'd be like, oh no, I have to speak on stage. And I was really, really anxious about it. And it just hit me how funny it was, because on any given day, I can send an email to over 70,000 people. I can publish an Instagram post to over 100,000 people. I can publish a YouTube video to over 100,000 people. There's so much exposure in the online space, but something about seeing people eye to eye in person, it just makes me so nervous. And I don't know if that's an introvert thing or not, but I'm just so much more comfortable speaking to devices. It allows me to show up in the best way that's possible for me, because I can kind of compartmentalize my energy. 4 hours, I'm exerting it. And then for the rest of the day, I'm doing activities where I can conserve it. So
yeah,
it's worked for me.
Okay. 2 things in that you said that I think are worthy of exploring together is, one, I think one of the common concerns I hear from coaches and online entrepreneurs just starting out is that element of, I don't want to call it fear. So you can reject that if it's not fear, anxiety, or whatever, of showing up as yourself, even on social media, right? For those that are just starting, it's this like, they get in front of the device and they're almost like freeze, like all of a sudden it's flight, fight, or freeze that comes up. And they're maybe experts when they're working one-on-one with a client or in a group coaching one-to-many situation. But when it comes to hopping on social media, they do have some of that paralysis or overthinking. What do you offer someone who's kind of struggling to just like show up either in video or in their stories? Like, what's your tip to help push them over the edge a little?
So many tips because I've been working on this myself for years. If you go back to any of my first videos on my Facebook page, my YouTube, I definitely am a different person on camera then versus today. So the first thing is when you are showing up on camera, make sure that you have a sticky note or an arrow or a sticker pointing to where the actual camera lens is on your device, whether it's your phone, whether it's your DSLR, your handheld camera, make sure you're actually looking at the lens. And if you want, you can print out a photo of a friend, of a family member. You can tape it next to that lens just so you remind yourself that you're talking to your friend. You're not broadcasting like you're a news anchor or a journalist, which is something that I'm always trying to overcome. That's my university background. I studied journalism, but it's like, no, I'm here to talk to friends. So I'm always reminding myself of that, looking at the lens, reminding myself of that. The second thing is to bring more energy to the camera than you would if you were talking face to face, because when you're recording, you want to pop out in people's screens, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, you want to jump out. So if you're talking quiet and a little slow and you're not cutting to it right away, you're not capturing people's attention right away, you're not going to get the views. You're not going to get really the results you want from that video. So talk louder and really project and be a little bit more dramatic, and see how I just talked faster. I'm really trying to like spark your attention. And you can practice all this in the mirror before you start filming as well. And then my third tip would be, especially if you're someone who struggles with the overwhelm or feeling frozen, like you have to perform. This is something I can relate to a lot because perfectionism and being a straight A student, that's my blood from all my years in high school.
I am there with you.
Yeah. I don't know why I had this idea in my head, but I had to get straight A's all throughout high school or else I was a failure. And I did. I killed myself sometimes to get straight A's. In fact, I look back and I'm like, why did I just have more fun in my early years? There was so much intense pressure on myself coming from myself that now my mantra is, especially as I mentioned earlier, as I'm getting older and I am getting kind of more tired, my mantra is C+ work is good enough. Yes. It does not have to be A+ work to be publish ready. And this is something I teach my students all the time is, this is short form video marketing that we're doing for the most part, whether it's TikTok and Reels. People are not looking for perfection. In fact, they're looking for those more real human moments, maybe where you make a mistake and it's funny, or you fumble over your words, but it still makes sense. That is what's relatable. And with all platforms moving more and more towards short form video, again, they're not looking for you to make a commercial. That just doesn't feel real, like it's coming from a real person, especially if you're a coach. They want to feel like they're getting to know you through their phone, through the camera lens. You want to show your personality, your real raw self. And even if you haven't said things perfectly, even if you're stumbling, even if the edits aren't quite great, or if your text isn't popping up at the right time, it's okay. If it's like 80% there, or what's a C? A C would be like a 60%, 70%?
70, 79. Yeah. The teacher in me knows the exact percentages.
There you go.
70 to 79 would be a C.
If it's 70% there, it's good enough for publishing. And I say that as well because I don't want my students to get caught up in like, I put in 6 hours to make this one perfect video. It was so good. And then it flopped. Well, it's because these algorithms, it's really hard to predict what TikTok and Reels, what they're going to like. So it's actually better for you to produce more volume. So more videos that are imperfect is better to publish than one really perfect video once a week. And so that's the mentality I am still reminding myself of today, but that's how I can produce so much content as well.
That's a little gem right there. More volume, less perfection. Yes, yeah, agree. Totally. Exactly. So on that note, another struggle that I find often is trying to, especially if coaches are building a brand while they're still working on, in a side traditional environment, or even if they're coaches who really have a lot of life commitments, right? Work life, a lot of moms, a lot of ladies listening are moms building businesses as well. What can you offer around the overwhelm of time commitment so they're not taking 2 hours to make one 10-second reel, or they're in their phone? Because a lot of people will say to me, oh, but you're always on social media. And I'm actually not always on social media, right? We have systems in place in our business to make sure we're producing content at a cadence that allows us to not be in our phone all the time. So, what are some things that you could offer for somebody in that place that just feels like it's taking up too much time and are feeling discouraged because it's crickets out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I can 100% relate. I'm an Instagram marketer, and there was a summer in 2019 where I just felt like my growth was stalling. The algorithm didn't like me anymore. My posts weren't being seen by people. I seriously considered just moving out of the niche entirely because I felt like I was failing at it. So
I'm
how
glad you
could I
didn't.
teach people? Me too. I'm so glad too, because it was the end of 2019 where things changed. I changed my mindset on how I was going to show up and produce content for Instagram. And what I realized was that I was trying to use all the features of Instagram all the time, and I wasn't focusing on the features that were just getting the best results. And that can also come down to content. I wasn't focusing on the content that was getting the best results, aka what my followers and what the algorithm liked the most. So today I keep my strategy very simple. I know there are so many ways that you can produce content on Instagram, but my strategy is very, very simple. When I want visibility to my business or followers to my Instagram account, which is generally us all the time, we all want, eyeballs on our business, I focus on making reels, 10 to 15-second videos. Oftentimes I'll even make them on TikTok first, and then I'll repurpose them and share them on reels. And I've got a ton of tutorials on YouTube on how to do that as well. So I focus on making reels for visibility. Then if that's done, because that's the most important part, is getting new content out there, then the second feature I'll focus on is stories for engaging with my current followers. So I know from experience, my current followers do not like just having business material shared with them all the time, or they don't want to feel like they're being promoted to all the time. So I always mix in personal aspects into my stories. People love sharing their opinions. My favorite thing is to, get my nails done, post a picture, post a poll sticker and let people say yay or nay. Silly things like that. It doesn't really change my day at all.
People love to be seen and heard. I mean, this just boils down to the most important core part of, not to interrupt, I apologize, but I don't want to glaze over this. Like, people want to be seen and heard. And in a market that's crazy, when, busy with opportunities, when we show up and give space to our people to be seen and heard, they feel connected.
Absolutely. And it can be as simple as an Instagram story. And the second feature I'll use when I'm looking to connect with my current followers is going live. And this is something that I admittedly do not do enough of, but every time I do go live, it's really fun. And even for my followers, I think they get so much out of it. And sometimes I'll go live for just 10 minutes. Like after the Social Media Marketing World event, I went live the next week and recapped some of my top takeaways from the event. So it's high value for my followers. And I saw the comments when I was live, and people were just loving the free information they were getting. And then when the live is done, I share it as a video on my feed so people can catch the replay. And so sometimes there's less engagement there, but really I don't do those videos for, real level engagement. I do it to connect with my current followers. So stories and going live, great features just to connect with my current followers. And then the last feature I will always focus on, and my team helps me with this as well, is managing my direct messages. So after all this work, creating content to get visible, creating stories, going live to engage with my followers, the most important part is nurturing those relationships one-on-one. And that generally happens inside of the DMs. It can happen within the comments of a post, but I find that when people really want to connect with you, they'll send you a DM. And that also happens when they reply to your story. If they reply to your story because you've engaged with them, it's going to basically come through to you as a DM request. And so you get to choose to accept that DM or not. And I always accept them, especially if it's just, a simple conversation that they want to have with me. But sometimes it's a question about my program. It's a question about my product. Sometimes it's a student who's having problems accessing their product. So that's why my team members help me out too, because we offer customer support through our DMs. But the most important thing about DMs, especially if you're a coach, especially if you're offering higher ticket services as coaches do, is People want to ask you their last few questions, or they want to get to know you as a real person before they commit, before they put that money down and sign up for your services. So there are sales to be found in the DMs is my final takeaway there. So those are the main features that I focus on. And that's what helps me manage the feeling like, oh, I need to spend like 2 hours on Instagram to do everything. I don't. We batch create our content, and then my team and I help manage everything else.
Yeah, awesome. Amazing tips. And I think the other thing that I would throw in there, I'm curious if you agree, is start where you can start. I think when you're just starting out on social media and you see that there's other people that you're following that are producing, let's say 7 to 15 pieces of content in a week, the goal is like, I'm going to post every day. And my invitation is always pump the brakes, create a system, and let's start posting twice. Be consistent on posting twice a week first, and nail that consistency, and then expand upon it and create the system so that you can keep up with it. Because sometimes it's like gusto, and they haven't really created a system. And then 2 weeks goes by and now it's like, oh crap, like now I'm not showing up at all and I feel overwhelmed.
And that's a very common question I get too, is how often should I post for growth? And there are some Instagram teachers out there who will say, post multiple times a day. Great, but not everyone has time to make 3 reels a day. I know I do not. I have never posted 3 reels a day. So my answer is the algorithm loves your consistency. So post as often as you can stay consistent. If that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, great. And then you can add in more days. That was my strategy in 2020. I think I only posted 3 times a week. And now we're still getting back up to like 5 times a week. So again, choose the frequency that you can stick to and stay consistent with. And that's the most important thing, I think.
Amazing. Oh, you're a gem. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for giving us the tips that I know that will speak to all the ladies listening. Can you share where we can connect with you? I know you have a great freebie. I mean, your YouTube channel is amazing. I'll shout out to that, just with tutorials and stuff. I've tapped into them even starting years ago, and they were so helpful to me. But go ahead and share where they can connect.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
We're working on some new content topics on YouTube. So I'd love your feedback there as well. But yeah, anyone who would like to connect with me more can actually grab a freebie over at elisedarma.co/reels. And with that, you're going to get 6 free reel ideas that you can use for your business. They aren't trends based. You don't have to dance. You don't have to point if you don't want to, but we've already done the strategy for you so that those reels, if you film them and publish them, will actually, get seen by your ideal followers, which is what you want. That's why we're making videos. You're not making videos to go viral for the sake of it. You want to make videos so that you're getting seen by your right people. So elisedarma.co/reels is something that you can head to and grab that download for free. Of course, YouTube, you can search me Elise Darma, Darma. And then of course you can connect with me on Instagram over Elise at Elise Darma as well. So Same handle across the board.
And Elise is with an E for those listening to ELISE too. So
that's right.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time, and thank you for all the service that you give to all of the aspiring online entrepreneurs. I like to not say that I'm old, but I am 40, and sometimes the social media comes a little bit, slower at times. And it's been really great having so many amazing people like yourself serving. So thank you.
I'm so glad that you find the content helpful, and thank you for your support. Because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't continue doing what I do. So thanks for having me. It's been really fun.
One of the most important things you will ever do as a coach is ask questions. So I've put together a simple go-to resource that you can have in your back pocket as a coach of 10 powerful questions I believe every coach should know. So go ahead and head on over to amanda-walker.com/questions to grab yours now.